Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to talk to you about the recent second alpha test, how it went, what was waiting for us there, and about my impression and wishes. Anyway, I want Paul. Enjoy the video. Initially, 10,000 people were going to be invited to the second alpha test, and it was supposed to start on Monday, 27th of May at 8 PM. Unfortunately, everything was delayed and the first batch of keys was sent at 10 PM, 2 hours later than the announced time. But it was not a problem, because half an hour after the invitations, there were server errors and a problem with the campfire, because with the servers had to be restarted. In addition, when I got the key and tried to download the game, it failed to download. I solved this problem by reinstalling the launcher. Once I entered the game, I was insanely happy to run again in this amazing world. It was noticeable that developers tried hard and changed their starting locations. They changed their workbench location, moving them closer to the center, changed their fields with products, making them more beautiful and authentic, and added a huge number of points of interest. Overall, a lot of work has been done. The only thing that upset me in the beginning was the lack of the declared redesigned map with labels and full description of quests in the quest log. After a bit of running around with my team, I went to bed, because it was already late. I planned to get up early in the morning and play. The 28th of May. I woke up at 6 AM because the desire to play didn't give me rest. My task was to farm boars in the order to fulfill the quest for the delivery of animal fat. And then I began to face a lot of problems that made me nervous as a player. The first thing I noticed was that on my class, I played as Infiltrator. When you go behind the enemy's back and try to stab him, he instantly turns around without any animations, and it's feel like the extra damage in the back doesn't count. But it's still okay. The boars kept disappearing and appearing. After killing and skinning the boars, it happened that they just disappeared, and the new ones appeared in their place. And there were a lot of situations like that. It caused a lot of negative emotions. But I continued playing, and at about the same time I began to face the legendary error OX403. It became a cult for a short time of this testing, as I suppose this error was related to shamans, because this time the layers were changed right during the gameplay. This was the cause of most errors with the spawning mobs, with the inability to invite friends to a group, just play with a friend on the same chart. But these errors were with those who were able to get into the game. There were also those who just didn't get their promised key. But with all these problems, developers decided to launch a new test, solving the problem with the keys distributions and other bugs. Having read the whole process, at 6 PM Amsterdam time a new test was to start. Let's call it Alpha 2.1. They also decided to give out 4,000 more keys. But unfortunately, at 6 PM we didn't see the test. The developers couldn't fix a critical bug, so they rescheduled the test to the next day. The 29th of May. At 8:30 PM Amsterdam time, the servers were started. All players were waiting for the new keys. Unfortunately, after the players had entered the game, it turned out that the bugs and errors were not fixed. The OX403 errors was still popping up frequently for all players, and it didn't let them play properly. Some players had their progress rolled back, and some just lost their character. After a few days of trying to fix their critical error, the developer decided to suspend testing early. After all, they realized that they can't fix the errors quickly and players aren't able to play normally, which spoiled their impression of the game. According to the developers, it was a very successful test from them, because the purpose of this testing is to detect such errors. Having fixed them, they promised to launch a new test in a couple of weeks. They also released a huge post, in which they shared their thoughts. It was about everything: the game, early access, using AI in their work, monetization and other things. It was obvious that this post was written from their heart, without concealment or falsehood, so it touched me as a fan to the very core. But now it's not about that. I want to mention the bugs and unpleasant moments that I encountered during the test, so that the developers were aware of them and therefore will be able to work with it. Apart from the annoying error OX403, very irritating was the bug that didn't let invite your friend to the team. It wrote that it's already in the group, also in fact it's not. The next thing that I'll point out is the work of shards and all the consequent problems, such as the disappearance of mobs and resources. I also noted that totems scattered around the world didn't work. More precisely, they gave more power to a character and then immediately took it away. Sometimes the mobs revived very quickly, which led to that I didn't even have time to open the chest. The descriptions of various items extend beyond the screens, making it impossible to read them in shops and inventory. Unclear distribution of drop chances on gathering resources. For example, from some turtles fell X point process, from some not, and I didn't get spined during the whole game. Also, the experience and gold given from killing turtles should definitely be cut down. Another one of the most unpleasant moments that I noticed is that the mobs turn when they have a stun effect on them. This was very unpleasant for me as a player who played as Infiltrator. In fact, he also had a lot of unpleasant moments. I got to level 13 with him and had level 9 weapon mastery, but I still didn't feel the power of this character. First of all, his special ability is much inferior compared to the other characters' abilities. In addition, the special ability has such a strong negative debuff that you just don't want to use it. In these 5 seconds you can take 5 strikes instead of the 2 with daggers. Add to that the damage from the third ability being 0, weak invisible, which only gives you extra damage on the first hit, so all I had to do was just throw mines to kill enemies. All in all, I wasn't impressed with this character. Also, I am still convinced that in theory the hero can be effective at his peak power, but it's very difficult to play him in the beginning. Another one of the annoying moments is freezes during battles. Once I managed to fight with a player without freezes and it was just awesome. Equal battle 1-on-1 without various freezes bring a lot of positive emotions. On the contrary, their presence breaks the whole immersion. In this test, there were also no opportunity to transfer items that you found or crafted. If I agree with the items that could be found in chests, but the lack of crafted items transfer is not clear to me. What I would add or change. Firstly, I would like to see allies on the map marked with different colors, because we often got confused about where everyone was. Also, the inventory and storage became too big. I would like to have tabs or different backpacks. For example, some backpack for herbalism resources, some for cooking, and to be able to open them separately as it's arranged in World of Warcraft, for example. This will simplify the sorting of items and avoid opening a huge inventory at once. Resurrection Stone. It's an interesting thing, but I think it should have a cooldown, at least in 5 minutes after the first use. Add a description of the weapon mastery price. I know that the benefits of them can be seen by pointing at the ability and pressing shift, but it's far from obvious. And when you give a precious weapon mastery level to a class, I like to know exactly how my hero improves. I'd like to be able to short items at markets. For even now it brings some inconvenience, and I'm afraid to imagine what will happen when the hero will be more. Also, I'd like to see the button in the game that turns off the hue. Sometimes you just want to run and enjoy the beautiful of the world Corepunk. Please, add this option. I would also really like to see an emotion wheel. I know it's just my dreams, but in a social MMO like Corepunk, in my opinion, it's even necessary. Among such options, an emotion wheel like in Horizon or Pala comes to mind. Also, this wheel can be easily monetized by sending different emotions. My overall impression. I told you how the testing went, about the bugs and what I would like to change, and you might think that I got only negative impressions from the game, but to be fair, I didn't. Unlike the first testing, the game has been significantly transformed. The map felt much bigger and more intense, a huge number of points of interest with their own unique NPC, terrific system of passive talents and branches of specialization. Pumping them you really feel how your character becomes stronger and stronger. The huge variety of builds is fantastic. Finally, there were more people on layers, and when I was able to fight other players, it brought a zero emotion. And after reading a sincere post from the developers after the second alpha, which tells about their plans and how they see the project, I was touched to the core. And if you think about it, even though the endless bug that pissed me off and made me angry, I kept pressing and reconnecting button despite my mood. No matter how many times the error popped up, I kept clicking on reconnect. After all, no matter how angry I was at the moment, some part inside me immensely wanted to play this project. And if you like me, you keep reconnector no matter what. I'm sure you like me, love Corepunk endlessly.